Hello guys, and welcome to another video. And earlier today they had the Pokemon Presents, and there they showed a couple mobile games, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl, which look really good. I might do a separate discussion about that, because I do have a couple problems with it, but overall, I think it looks really good, and I'm excited to play it. I like the art style and everything with the chibi characters. I actually really like that. But, I might do a separate discussion, maybe talk about the things that I really like about the game, and some of the things I'm a little disappointed on. So that would be another video. But the highlight for me from that Pokemon Presents was Pokemon Legends Arceus, because it's actually innovating the formula and doing something completely different, even kind of changing up the genre a little bit. And it's taking some inspiration from games like Xenoblade and Breath of the Wild, like other Nintendo open world games, and just creating like a whole open world here. I know there's a ton of other open world games and ones not from Nintendo, but I do feel like this is taking inspiration from more of Nintendo's open world games because there's a lot of similarities. But open world is exactly the direction I wanted Pokemon to go in, and I'm kind of disappointed that Sword and Shield didn't do it. Because they did have the wild area, but the wild area only covered like a certain area. It really wasn't that big, and it still kind of felt like a pretty limited thing because your movement was pretty limited. You could only stay on like certain paths and go in certain areas. It was more of just like a big path, kind of, just a big area. Like, it's usually like the paths between towns, but just a extended area. I mean, it's cool, and it's a nice concept, but it kind of felt like there was a lot of potential. And I feel like this game is living up to the wild area's potential, and actually kind of building on that open world, like, kind of idea for Pokemon. And I really don't think they could go any farther with the original formula. I guess, well, since that's been going on for like 25 years now, with the same basic Pokemon formula, and they still had that in the Sword and Shield, and it just felt really bland at that point. Like, I mean, I guess they could continue to milk it forever, but there really needed to be some innovation, especially because the Switch is the first home console that Pokemon is on. I mean, it kind of had the transition because Nintendo was kind of putting together the mobile market and the handheld market and the home console market. So Pokemon naturally had to progress over to more of a home console style. But I would say Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I mean, that doesn't really count as like a transition. That's kind of like a maybe testing the waters of how a Pokemon game would work on the Switch. It's more of just like, it's fun, but it's not like really a full Pokemon game. Though I did really enjoy it though. It was really nice. But Sword and Shield was a pretty rough transition over to that more home console style, and it was kind of disappointing because like the graphics were pretty subpar for Switch standards. Like, there was a lot of Pokemon missing, like more than most other games. Like, it didn't have like the national dex and everything, so it was kind of disappointing that like it was missing a lot of Pokemon, and it reused animations from the 3DS. Like, it was clearly rushed. And, like, I mean, there are some aspects that I do like about Sword and Shield. I really don't like the game overall. Like, I did have some enjoyment out of it, but I just really didn't enjoy it that much. It was pretty disappointing. But with Pokemon Legends Arceus, it actually seems to be like transitioning into that full open style, like a more home console suited style. And I've just been wanting something like this for Pokemon for a while, and this really should have been the proper step that they should have gone in. They really shouldn't have done Sword and Shield. They really should have progressed right to this open world aspect. And some of the things about this game, my only small tiny complaint that I have is that the graphics, they don't look perfect. I mean, they still look good. I still think they look really good, and they're definitely a step up from Sword and Shield, but they don't look perfect. There is still some rough edges and stuff like that. But when looking at the art style, it really doesn't matter, because it really blends into the art style when you look at it. It really looks like kind of cell shaded. It almost looks like a painting, like a watercolor painting, and it just looks really good. Like, the scenery in this game just looks really good, and it just, like, any kind of jagged or rough graphics, it just really just blends into the style. You don't even really notice it. And it just, like, the cel-shaded Pokemon, like, when just looking at the different Pokemon in the game, they just look really good. And they actually have, like, animations, you could just walk around everywhere, and you could see Pokemon doing different things, and they actually have, like, different AI and different, things that are programmed, like, with how the Pokemon are programmed and everything. And they seem to be all programmed in different ways, kind of like how different enemies are in, let's say, Breath of the Wild, because, like, they just behave in different ways, which is actually really impressive for a Pokemon game, and I'm glad they're actually making it more of a realistic experience. I mean, that's kind of contradicting the art style, but I feel like the art style works really well in the context of the story of the game, because it takes place, like, a long time ago in the, Hisui region, which was basically before the Sinnoh region kind of became populated and everything, and before it was actually settled more and everything. Like, I would say probably like couple hundred years before the events of Diamond and Pearl. But it looks really interesting. I really like the story behind it, and the I like how it's the team that you're on is called the Galaxy Team. It kind of seems like it's gonna tie into Team Galactic, which is really cool, and it definitely adds to the lore. And I really like how they're just extending upon the lore to this game. They just could have easily thrown us in a new region and just did everything completely different and just had the gameplay style be open world. But the fact that they're creating like a whole new lore and like adding to the lore of the Sinnoh region is actually really interesting. Actually, not just the Sinnoh region, but the kind of the Pokemon lore in general, because it's like really interesting, and I just really like the idea of it. Like, they could have, like I said, they could have easily done like just a regular Pokemon theme, but they just went that extra step and they made it take place like a long time ago, which is really interesting. So there's also a couple other things. I really like the combat too, because basically with throwing Pokeballs, it's kind of like an action RPG where you can just, it has like a lot of action elements. You can just throw the Pokeball just out in the wild and everything. You don't have to go into like a separate battle. And that's one thing, I'm gonna get off topic for a second. One thing that I think Paper Mario should have done, like with Origami King and everything, like seeing those turn-based battles out like in the wild and everything, that would have worked much better. But going back to Pokemon, like I think that really works with like this open world style, because going into like a different menu and everything, or a different scene to do a battle, would just be really redundant. Like, I mean, that's the main problem I have with Paper Mario. It would have been like the modern Paper Mario games if you would have went into another menu. Like, I think it's kind of similar to what Xenoblade does, because instead of like engaging in a separate battle, you just fight in the overworld, which I'm so glad that they're doing it with this game. So, I feel like it's kind of a mixture of an action RPG and a turn-based RPG, because you engage in a turn-based battle when you're actually fighting them, and then you could just do the action thing when you're throwing a Pokeball, and it just looks really nice. One concern that I have, I mean, the game would still be good without this, but it's just one little concern I have. I hope there's more towns. Like, we saw that one town, but I did see, like, a map of the region, and it did seem like there were, like, more areas you could visit, like, more settlements. So I hope there's, like, maybe another settlement or two. Like, I know there really doesn't have to be that many, because it's more focused on, like, the, wild aspect of everything. But it would be nice if we did get, like, a couple more towns in the region. Like, even if it's just, like, a little area. It would still be really nice if you could just walk across the map and go to another town. I think that would be cool. But anyways, that's all that I have to say about Pokemon Legends Arceus. I think it looks amazing, and I'm really excited to play it. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye.